notice was published in the Springfield News and Sun, a newspaper of general circulation within the city, advertising the city commission's review of an application to expand the existing community entertainment district. Attached here too are true and correct copies of the notices of public hearing published on June 20th and 27th, 2022.
I move that the communication be ordered received, recorded in the minutes, and filed.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. There he is. Tell us about it.
Hi, Commissioners. So the SED was created in 2019. This is to encourage hospitality and entertainment-oriented development. So in doing that, it creates 15 D5J liquor licenses. And these can be purchases by those types of establishments selling liquor and beer and wine. So we want to expand this district. So there's a couple spots downtown where there might be some projects in the future. We want to make sure that those are included. So that includes the former Main Street Pub, the Dole Beer Building, and the SMHA offices. So we have put in the application to expand this district so that those locations can have access to this, and it'll encourage development there. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the
It's a great idea.
any audience? Their motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips? Yes. Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Was too quick.
Wait a minute. Nobody now. Official. None. On this envelope addressed to me at none. I'm just a nobody. All these years.
They found you.
Been canceled.
Every now and
Yeah.
That's right. Canceled.
Be proud to be among us.
How you guys hide you? You hide behind the pole. Why? Are you is that investigative reporting? Is that what's going down? We got 1 minute to give you harassment before we're official. So.
The city commission meeting is called to order. The roll call for the previous hearing will cover this also. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our God, we're deeply thinking about the people in cities around America where there have been gun killings of various sorts, some of them by people and some by citizens, some of them by police officers. We worry about our own situation too, and we hope that doesn't come to us. Please be with us this evening. Make good decisions for the people of Springfield. In your name we pray. Amen.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, you weren't here for the first call?
Oh, make sure. Yeah. Thank you.
He's noted that she's
I
here
think Jill
in
had
her
it.
arrival time. You're welcome.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estrad,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes. Clerk will proceed with first readings.
authorizing the finance director to enter into agreements with the Huntington National Bank for treasury management, depository services, and security custody services for an amount not to exceed $150,000 for the initial 3-year term, with the option to renew for 3 additional 2-year terms. Accepting the application for annexation of certain territory containing 29.232 acres, more or less, in Springfield Township, and commonly known as the 2399 and 2427 South Burnett Road annexation area to the city of Springfield, Ohio. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a site host agreement with Green Spot JC LLC for electric vehicle charging infrastructure at no cost to the city.
Are there any questions or comments from commission on these?
Yes.
Mr. Estrop?
Thank you. Does this essentially complete the annexation near the South Burnett Road?
So this was DDC management, the Sycamore Ridge development. That second phase that will be south of Leffel Lane, between Leffel and 70, this is that part of it, 29
Okay.
acres.
Thank you. The other thing I was wondering if we could learn a little more about the charging station.
So the city is going to be entering into a partnership with Green Spot LLC. They're a business that does this EV charging infrastructure, and their model is to pay to install, maintain, any upgrades that need to be made on the chargers they'll make, and they'll share their profits with us. So our plan is the parking garage up on Fountain, some street parking on High Street here by Cohatch, and Mill Run by the brewery and the townhomes.
So if there are charging stations in those spots, can they still be used by fossil fuel cars?
So we haven't made that determination yet. This really just kind of sets the agreement with the business to enter into this agreement.
I think it's a great idea. I'm seeing a growing number of electric vehicles here in the city, and I think this is good service to those who are driving and buying or leasing those cars. Great.
Anything else from commissioners on first readings? Clerk, proceed with second reading.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into LPA agreement number 33222, amendment number 2, between the city and the Ohio Department of Transportation in connection with the CLA Yellow Springs Street Reconstruction, Phase 2, PID number 109607, to provide clarity regarding the funding source.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Dr. Estrad,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the finance director to purchase up to 3,300 tons of rock salt for the 2022-2023 winter season from Morton Salt Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $230,241 through the Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 5513.01B of the Ohio Revised Code.
To adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Yes, I was wondering how this price compared to last year.
So Commissioner, this price is 12% higher than last year and is about right in line with what we paid for the 2020-2021 winter season.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone in the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming and approving the application for a comprehensive opioid, stimulant, and substance abuse site-based program grant in an amount up to $1,300,000 from the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and authorizing the city manager, finance director, law director, and community development director to perform all acts and execute all documents they consider necessary to fulfill the city's obligations under said grant and to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Question or comments from the commission?
I was wondering if Chris could tell us a little bit more about this.
Yes, I actually, to make life easier on all of us, have a short statement Shannon gave me. I will read it and hopefully it clarifies everything. So this is a countywide partnership that the city assisted in submitting the grant. It's led by the Mental Health Recovery Board and McKinley Hall. It provides funding support for advocates to guide persons with substance abuse disorders through the recovery process. The grant was formally and finally submitted on June 27th. There have been no announcements to date. The total request is $1.3 million. It's a 100% grant if we were to get it. The city would act as the fiscal agent on behalf of Mental Health Recovery Board. And does that explain the way the funding works? Yeah. Is that the?
Thanks.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience want to speak to this? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Providing for supplemental appropriations within various funds and declaring it an emergency therein.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming purchases and the obtaining of services for the city and providing for payments therefore and declaring it an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum aggregate principal sum of $826,000 in an anticipation of the issuance of bonds to pay the cost of constructing sidewalks, curbs, and gutters comprised in the 2022 Sidewalk Curb and Gutter Program at various locations throughout the city and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Chris, you want to speak to this program a little bit and what we're doing with these funds?
On the sidewalk curb and gutter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is the annual sidewalk curb and gutter program. This year, we are handling things a little bit differently where residential properties in these areas will be served at last year's prices because we had such a large price increase. And then
Sorry to interrupt, but what percentage increase have we seen in these materials over the last year?
last year, 1 foot of curb was $30, and our estimate was $38, so that would have been a 25% increase. The prices came in at $64,
Oh.
so it was significant. So on top of using last year's prices as kind of the baseline, we've also set a cap for residential properties at $4,000 plus the administrative charges to keep that consistent with previous years.
The city's helping residents fight this inflationary increase
Yes,
on these
yes.
particular areas, so they just don't get assessed exactly what we're paying. We're helping them out, right?
Correct.
Thanks.
And Chris, I'm sorry. Where would, if someone wanted more information, where would they be able to go? Is there like a website or somewhere that a citizen could go look at?
Really, the best thing they should do is reach out to us because every property is served specific to what issues they have with their sidewalk curb and gutter. So if they were to call us at 525-5800, we actually have 2 to 3 gentlemen that will go out and visit them at their property, show them where the deficiencies are, and explain the process to them. That's how they spend a good part of their summer.
And this is not an application process. This is just something we're doing right away for citizens, right?
Correct.
Because they'll get assessed, they'll have sidewalk curbs that they need to have replaced. It's their responsibility to replace it, and they'll be assessed that, but they won't be assessed what they would be assessed last year's payment, right? Last year's.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Mark, correct me if
No
I'm wrong, this
application.
also will allow this to be spread over someone's property taxes on over 10 years instead of 5, correct?
That is correct. If they choose to participate in the program and do not have the work done themselves, they have the opportunity at the end of it, to have it assessed property tax force.
And then commercial assessment are as this year's prices, right? That's the difference.
That is correct.
There's, no assistance for commercial property. Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Anyone in the audience want to have a question? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrom,
Yes?
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Jess Howard Electric Company for the install runway 624 vertical visual guidance system project at the Springfield Beckley Municipal Airport for an amount not to exceed $572,031.74 and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? Anyone in the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Dr. Estrom,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant through the Ohio Department of Transportation Aviation Division in an amount up to $462,764 for removal of existing taxiway C and the construction of a new perpendicular taxiway to meet current FAA design standards at the Springfield Beckley Municipal Airport, authorizing an expenditure of up to $24,356 to be used as local matching funds, authorizing the city manager, law director, airport manager, and the director of finance to do all things necessary for the submission of the application and to comply with all relevant local, state, federal legal requirements and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrom,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into Amendment 3 with JCI Jones Chemicals Incorporated for the purchase of sodium hypochlorite for use by the city's wastewater treatment plant, increase the contract in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for a total amount not to exceed $145,000 and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Once again,
Yes.
Chris, could you speak to the increase that we're seeing here and these additional dollars needed?
Yes, so when this contract was put into place, this was a bid at 69 cents per gallon. This most recent contract amendment, which is the third one, takes it up to $2.03 per gallon. So that's, if my math is right, that's about 194%.
And these prices are changing rapidly, is that right?
Yeah, about as quick as Jason can draft new agreements. They're changing rapidly as we talk to other suppliers and our peers in the industry. We're not alone. But this is what disinfects the wastewater before it leaves. So it's one of those things
Pretty
we can't go without.
necessary, pretty
Yes.
necessary.
So if we are concerned about prices going up in our household, they're certainly going up in the city's house.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estrom,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
The next three items were added to the agenda. Consenting to the reappointment of Charles Harris to serve as the City Planning Board's representative to the Board of Zoning Appeals and declaring an emergency therein.
Moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
Consenting to the reappointment of John M. Spencer to the City Planning Board and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? The audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
And consenting to the appointment of Thomas Geyer to the Board of Zoning Appeals and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank Denise Williams for serving on not only the planning board in her early time back in Springfield, but also on the Board of Zoning Appeals. She's just been a terrific asset. And we're going to miss her a lot, having a little bit of back surgery here soon. And again, I just wish her well. She was really, really good on both boards.
I always feel for people with back surgery coming since I've had 2 or 3 of those already. Anybody else?
I just wanted to add the city's fireworks to Leanne and Chris and everyone that was involved. They were absolutely great this year. And I love the new location and just driving to them. You could see like so many people parked up and down the street. Whereas when it was at the fairground, it was a little way more congested. I felt like not as many people had access. And now it just seemed like such a vaster space. It was just so much more accessible. It was really cool.
We still have to vote on,
Oh, Denise,
Yeah?
clerk, you want to call the roll?
Yes, sir. Dr. Estra,
we're all done.
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. Anybody else want to talk?
Did you see the fireworks this year? I mean, they were amazing.
You know, I just wanted to spice up the meeting, you know?
You did a good job.
Thank you.
But we've also done this for right at 30 years. We've done this for well. Even if it was at the fairgrounds, we kind of got pushed out of there because of the excitement that used to go on at the fairgrounds with regards to needing to use it for other things. So again, I agree with you. And what a much nicer spot.
Great
And
spot.
thanks for the fire division for not letting us come downtown to begin with, which pushed it out there, which really made it a much better spot. So, good decision.
Anything else commissioners like to speak to? That concludes our agenda, right?
Yep.
Anyone in the audience want to address us? My gosh.
That's an ice cream night.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. My wife won't expect me to be home
Did you
yet.
go down in the park?
Give Brian some lessons.